All right, Zels, I got several emails, many a WhatsApp. I got quite a few screenshots. People want to know, is there a doppelganger? Is there a Zels lookalike outside of the guy who plays for the Argentinian Sevens national team? And should this guy not have been in Durban? And I broke the news to them. Guys, that is indeed Zel. That is indeed Mr. Nell.
Ooh.
He is part of the Stormers' technical coaching staff. And he was in the coaching box with Brock Harris. And on his debut, they restricted Leinster to 0 points. The first time in 17 years, the big giants from Dublin have not scored a point. Mate, I think that first time in the coaching box should be your last.
Exactly, mate. It's all downhill from here. It's time to say goodbye.
Incredible victory for the Stormers. I were there. Thanks, courtesy of an invite from Johan Leroux, one of the owners. Dylan and I went there and had a great time in the Stormers lounge while you were kind of plotting the demise of Leinster downstairs with Dobbo and the boys. A quick one, because I got asked this question by people. The transition from Rugby Jar SA Rugby magazine editor
What does that even mean?
to kind of the transition to kind of being part of the coaching staff. How have you found it? People are very interested in that. Are these Stormers as good at Oaks as Keo says they are? And then just kind of the vibe around opening game, DHL Stadium, blue and white hoops, but Leinster, defending champions, 13 internationals in that side. And I know they left a lot of their Lions heavies at home, but still a hell of a team that they brought here to blank them 35-0.
No.
Take us through your Friday night.
Take it through you. No,
Before I made you drink a Jägermeister.
Yeah, the Yankee on the way home. Mate, great bunch of guys, great coaches. Known the coaches for quite a while, obviously. Worked with him some time ago when Dobbo was still Vodacom Cup coach. Great experience, mate. Great to finally kind of be in the mix there behind the scenes, having been on the sidelines per se as a journo, to kind of be inside the inner circle, I suppose, as part of the coaching team. Was a great experience, and I really enjoyed it. It's quite tricky to change, sort of cross enemy lines, right? The media and then the pro games, very opposite ends of the spectrum, but great bunch of guys, all made me feel massively welcome, and players are all a good bunch of blokes as well. And to start like that, mate, was just incredible. I mean, Leinster brought a team loaded with some internationals, not their strongest team, but still loaded with international players. Stormers had some real youth, 4 players that were internationals. And to start the season like that on that night, mate, what a glorious night for rugby as well. Great weather, great conditions, great place. Playing the defending champions in the opener. And at the end of round 1, Leinster bottom of the log and Stormers on top. You can't ask more than that.
You got to screenshot that. And they're bottom of the log with a minus 35 points differential.
Yeah.
35-0. Any truth to the fact that Norman LeKay was saying, who's Jacques Ninaber now? No. I know, it's great love for Jacques. Eh?
Yeah.
But that must have been great for Normie, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, he prides himself on defense.
Mate, but apparently his heart rate was in the 200s. In the final
a lot of calories, that child there.
Yeah.
But just wonderful. I know Jacques has been a mentor to Norman back in the early days when Rassie and Jacques were here. For people that don't know it as well, Zels does have all the coaching certificates, all the coaching pedigree. Many years back, he kind of did a bit of work with Rassie as well, if I'm not mistaken. Worked with Jake. He was in Japan. He was supposed to go to the Bulls. He never went to the Bulls. The Stormers have got him. So he's not just a pretty face. He's not just a Mexican. He's a Mexican. But I was so chuffed for you, bud. And
thanks,
so happy for you. And
great to share the moment with you.
it was wonderful. And who would have thought that the kind of weekend would go the way it did after that? Got home at 11:30. Zels dropped us off. Kind of meant I was strong for the next day. Watched the All Blacks retain the Bledisloe Cup, unbeaten 52 test matches at Eden Park. The Aussies said, it's just another ground. It's not just another ground. They've lost 24 times in succession there. 39 years ago was the last time they won. They're 38 years going on 39. 1986, they won 30-16. And number 8, Greg Cornelissen, scored 4 tries that day. So it's going to take something special for them to win in New Zealand. It's their 31st successive loss in New Zealand. In the last 20 years. So, the last 23 years. So it's like the team that, I mean, at 26-24, they must have thought history is a beckoning. And then it was the All Blacks that came through. But then the big one in Durban, we spoke to our man, Aister, Jean-André Joubert, our media manager. He was a guest with Butch James. and Avant Brandy on the Friday night. I don't know how Aister made it to the ground, but he did. I don't know how he made it from the ground, but he did. He was back home yesterday afternoon and looking way, way too fresh this morning for a guy that had spent the weekend in Durban. He said he had an incredible time, met lots of the Boks on Friday night. They were supporting Butchie and Avant Brandy. He had also put in his order, a one on me, which James had said the prediction was if the Boks scored 2 or more tries, you get whatever you purchase, you get on the house. When I spoke to the boys from Avant this morning, they said they didn't want to see the ledger. They were waiting. They didn't want to look at the books to see what was coming in this morning, but I think lots of people finally scored. They finally got a return and reward. But the Boks 67-30. Sasha FM, our man, plump that cover down if you want to just pick it up.
Oh, look at this, man.
Pick it up.
Look at the boy.
Show.
Look at him.
Ahead of our
Look at
time.
him.
When you were still editing SARugbymag magazine, you put him on the cover a couple of months ago. Just the kind of performance we always felt he was capable of if he was given license, if his pack was on the front foot, if he was just allowed to play. And if he got through 80 minutes, he got through 60 at fly-off. Marnie Lebok came on. Damon got a bit of a niggle. He was off. He went to fullback. And as encouraging as it was that we totally dominated in the second half and physically we were in charge of everything, his performance wasn't just because he was behind a potent pack. His 2 biggest moments turned that game and took the momentum away from the Argentinians, who somehow couldn't believe that they were in the lead through a kind of bizarre moment from Cheslin Colby,
Yeah, it was.
to say the least. The way Sasha then basically from the restart went for the 50-22, incredible pace, scored the try, and then insisted basically on getting the kickoff restart to try and pull back some momentum when the Pumas were awarded the penalty try, and then influential in the build-up to get them within 5 meters, and boom, scores 25-23. They say the rest is history. The second half, Dan Carter-like performance, go down as one of the great number 10 performances, 37 points. The thing that shocked me, you tell me, was that he wasn't an out-and-out favorite to win the MVP award.
No, mate, can you believe that? I think in the MVP award on SARugbymag.co.za, they obviously put all the players up there, let people vote for them. We got like 5,000 votes. And Sasha won, but he had 32% of the vote. Pieter-Steph du Toit came second with 23% of the vote. I've seen much bigger margins of the MVP winner. I don't know how a bloke scores 37 points, including a hat-trick of tries, some of the most audacious moves that you've ever seen in a rugby field, and only wins the MVP vote by less than 10%. I was very surprised, but great for Pieter-Steph du Toit that he got some raps from the general public. But for me, Sasha was obviously far and away the MVP in that game.
And this is brought to you by multi-award winning auto and general insurance. Never not there. And the MVP, Sasha, we don't even know if he will play in London. He may play fullback. He may be on the bench. With Rassie, you never know who's going to play. But a popular choice. I got quite a few emails from people saying, Sasha's my MVP. And I was like, really? Based on what? He was just outstanding, just brilliant. I did a piece for the Keo blog, likening his performance to Dan Carter's 33 points against the Lions, 2005. 2 tens, played the perfect tens, 20 years apart. The numbers just added up. Both 23 years old when they produced this game, and both of them made their test debuts against Wales. Carter, 55-3 in Hamilton, playing number 12 in 2003, scored 20 points. And remember 2024, Sasha coming off the bench and kicking a 55-meter penalty with his first act in Test rugby at Twickenham against Wales. We win 41-13. He added 2 conversions. That as a 23-year-old. He's beaten Australia twice in Australia. He's led the charge against the All Blacks at Ellis Park in a win. I have to have a chuckle because when he had that kind of indifferent day against Georgia, and he kicked 1 from 5, and it was just one of those days where it was going left, it was going right, and people were like, he hasn't got it. He hasn't got the BMT. Send him back to club rugby. My goodness. I mean, the thing with that kid is let him soar. Let him do what he does best. And when I did a little bit of a reflection on the Dan Carter performance, I think last year they did an anniversary of that game. And he said the difference between the Dan Carter that finished his career and the Dan Carter that day was that Dan Carter played with freedom and was fearless. And that's what you want Sasha to hopefully maintain for the rest of his career. I mean, Cart's had an incredible career. 112 tests, 199, drew one, and back-to-back World Cup winner. I think he won 15 Bledisloe Cups, 3 Grand Slam Tour wins. He kind of did it all. Points record holder. But his last few years was blighted by injury, but also with people wanting to change his game and that. And I just think the way Sasha took control of that game, Nick Mallett said it in his conversation with Brendan Nell and Gavi Rich, was he owned the game. He took the game away from the Pumas by saying, it was like watching him when he used to play for Bishops against a strong team, like against the Boys' Eye, something like that, saying, today's my show, and I'm going to run it. Was that the feeling you got?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that separates him is not that he tries crazy things, is that he pulls them off. I mean, I dubbed him radio. I'm thinking of switching that to glitch, because some of the stuff that Sasha does on a rugby field, you almost have to like unsquint your eyes after you've watched it, because you can't believe what you've just seen. I mean, that spin, that 360 spin to score the try, he beats 3 test players, experienced test players. It's ludicrous to think that you could do that. If you tried that on a touch rugby field, that'd be brave. To do it in test rugby, it's just unbelievable what he did. And, he spots the space all over the field. He's got the boot to take the space. He's obviously sensational as an athlete, massive burst, great running skills, and good handling skills. But, he could change the game single-handedly like that. I also think that the pack of forwards deserves some credit for that, because that first 30 minutes, or first half basically, was quite dour. The game was slow. It was quite tactical. It was back and forth, both teams sticking to the kicking game. And I think during that time, the Bok pack really dealt big blows to that Argentina pack in terms of their constitution, their resilience. I think by the time we got to that second half, those guys had been punched in the guts quite a lot and their hands were coming down. Sasha did a brilliant job of landing the hammer blows to the head, taking the space, individual brilliance with that through kick, winning the race to it, picking it up on the fly, even on the way there, telling Cannon, don't worry about it, I got it, snapping it up and dotting it down. It's just absolutely ludicrous what that kid can do. But for me, like I said, the pack was sensational. I thought Jasper Wiese had one of his better games, just absolutely untackleable for the Pumas. And Peter Steph du Toit also very good. So great all-round performance for me. People are swept up in the final score, 67-30, not to be lost in the moment. The Boks kicked 40 times. Most test matches you kick more than 25, people are saying it's boring rugby. I thought they did a great job winning the contestables, taking the kick space, and when it was on, playing great rugby. So brilliant all-round performance for me.
Sasha, Feinberg, Umgoma Zulu. Jeff Wilson said it beautifully.
Yeah.
Said he is the big superstar in world rugby.
No doubt.
They did a thing on the breakdown. They put Cam Roygard there, Joseph Swahili, and Sasha. He went. That's the guy. And he also qualified it by saying he's a Targo mate. Tony Brown told him, this is the kid. Told him a year ago, watch this kid. He's going to become the big sensation. Mills, just shocked to see a 10 that can come out of South Africa and play like that. And I really felt that the combo of Sasha and Mani. I mean, Mani came on and did some great things as well. Scored an incredibly good try. The goal kicking wasn't his concern. The guy in form who started the game, he was kicking the goals. Just the versatility again, when you look at the ability to take a guy like Sasha on 60 minutes, put him at fullback. Damien Willems, who was the superstar in Wellington, at 12, basically off the field. Mani steps in like he'd been there from minute 1. The midfield gelled. I thought Kanan again put in a strong performance. Chesden also the ability to come back from the most bizarre moment where there was just a disconnect. But I could see what he was going to do if there had been a telecommunication. It may have come off and off they go. And then Ethan Hooker, he just looks like he belongs there. I know Rassie will only pick his team tomorrow or Tuesday, but I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like an Ethan Hooker there. If Chesden is struggling, Kanan out to the win. Your 2 centers, the old guard Jesse Creel and Deolandi, who was also very good. I mean, he's just one of the unsung heroes, Damon Deolandi. Sasha back to fullback, Mani at 10, Pollard on the bench. There are just so many options they can play around with. I don't see there too many variations in the pack. That back row is settled. Eben and Runokia. Good combination at the moment with Achia. Achia was just that game was made for him in that last 35. And then Strom from the forwards, so the front rows. Just a compelling performance. This is a bloody good Puma side.
It is.
They have beaten the British and Irish Lions. They've beaten New Zealand, rolled New Zealand in Buenos Aires. They could have gone back-to-back. They got 1 out of 2 against Australia. They came here with intent. They've now taken 2 big ones, 48-7 in Nelspruit and 67-30 in South Africa. And I think it's a credit to the maturity of these Boks, Siya Kolisi's leadership, Rassie Erasmus and his coaching staff, that on the biggest occasion in the last 2 seasons in the Rugby Championship at home, they've produced telling performances. And at 33 minutes, it was 9-6. Like a heavyweight battle, no one was really prepared to get too involved. It was, I don't know, out of fear for kind of giving away a freebie or out of respect. And then Cheslin ignited the game in the moment of bizarre. I won't say madness, it was just absolutely bizarre, but that was the switch to get this game going. And then what followed was just unbelievable. It was a bit like that 67-27 Pumas win against the Wallabies 2 seasons ago. But just brilliant. And this is kind of how a championship team plays. And Twickenham's going to be tighter. We know that it's going to be harder. But the cool thing for the Boks is they just need to win the game, and they become the first Bok team to back it up and defend the Castle Rugby Championship. And then that, again, adds another bit to the legacy of this team, who now are, that it's hard to look past them as being the greatest professional team that rugby union has ever seen. And when I say professional team, professional match 23. I've always been the biggest fan of Richie McCaw's 2011, 2015 back-to-back World Cup winners. They were a great 15 with 2 or 3 very, very good players that came off the bench. But this Boks side, the way they've evolved into 23, if you took that Bok 23 at their peak and that New Zealand 23, it would be a hell of a game. But the leanings have to go towards this team now as the game's evolved, and it's become more a 23-player game and not a 15-player game. I don't know where you sit on this. No. I hate comparing eras and teams, but they're 2 magnificent squads who have won the last 4 World Cups collectively.
Yeah.
So they will go down as 2 of the greatest, if not the greatest, in the game per se. But as South Africans, we like to say, is this one greater?
I don't know. I don't know if you can really measure across eras. I think that team, that All Blacks team was indomitable. They were the best by far. I take your point on the starting lineup because the bench, there was much more of a drop-off than what you got with the Boks. And this Boks squad isn't even 23 players. This Boks squad is 30 plus. I mean, you think about Bowen Venter starting in that test match. You've got Oxen Chair, you've got Gerard Steenekamp coming back, you've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels that can slide in there, and who knows who's the next cab off the rank. So we've got depth. It's unprecedented what we can do in terms of the depth that we've got across multiple positions. For me, the Boks were worth 67 points against Argentina. If I'm Argentina looking at that game, the learnings there is how to sort of go toe-to-toe with the Boks in that first half without getting your guts smashed in and your ribs broken, because they just had nothing left in that second half. They completely opened up. Erkje Snyman came on, and it was just like cherry picking. So they'll want to respond. I think they will respond. I'm not sure they've got the ammo to do it against this Bok team, but what might add some jeopardy to it is I'm pretty sure Rassie will ring the changes. And so you get guys that come in following this outstanding performance and the great performance in Wellington with a point to prove, but not necessarily the momentum, the cohesion. So it does sort of narrow the focus again, right? Everybody's pupils like dilate now because they have to be serious about this one. So I think we may see Andre Pollard get a run. I'm hoping Bongi is going to feature at some point somewhere along the line. So I think it's going to be a great test match. I do think it'll be closer, and I think Argentina will probably offer some more. And if I'm Argentina, I look at that match and I say I played the best team arguably in the history of professional rugby, and we scored 30 points against them at Kings Park in Durban. That's progress for Argentina, I would say. And as much as you want to limit the score against the Boks, you put 30 points on, that's something to celebrate.
But not concede 67. And that's what Felipe Contepomi will be saying. How did we leak 67? He said a lot went down to the guy playing 10. And if you're the opposing coach, you never want to see his name in a starting 15. If you love rugby union, you always want to see his name in a starting 15. Also very complimentary about Sasha, complimentary about the Boks, the way they played, and just the dimension that these Boks have added. The next generation, we spoke about it earlier in the late last week and in the build-up to say, back up what you did in Wellington. Rassie's entrusted you. He hasn't made changes. The only 3 changes were the enforced ones. Oxalate withdrawal, Luant obviously, and Fussy. Go and do it again. They've scored 15 tries and 110 points in the last 2 tests against New Zealand in Wellington, a record victory, and against an informed Pumas in Durban, where they traditionally have struggled and the conditions haven't always been favorable. I mean, is that not an emphatic statement that
It's
there is potentially a changing of the guard?
Yes, but by the same, by the same token, you look back at that Eden Park test and you think, if these guys put 67 points on Argentina, 67-30, smashed All Blacks in Wellington, that really was a lost opportunity, because this team, regardless of the changes, was capable of getting that win at Eden Park. So the key now is just to find that consistency. We know what the capacity is, but now it's about delivering on that with more consistency going forward.
All right, so we're going to talk about the possible Bok 23 that Rassie will pick. You can be part of that discussion. As always, go to the SA Rugby Magazine Facebook page, go onto the X feed, come and drop your team here on the YouTube channel, and then visit Order and General's Instagram page, give it a like, give their Facebook page a like, and you can qualify for a Bok test jersey. Always prizes here on the Keo Zels show. We like to give away a lot of things. I see Aister got given a lot of Avante. We are thinking about you, Ace. I'm sure that head of yours is going to be going a bit clunk, clunk, clunk. But yeah, you're looking at that 23. He knows he's got to win this competition. Where does he go in terms of injuries aside now? I asked you this question last week. You said I wouldn't make any changes. Boom, Rassie surprised you, and he didn't make any changes, okay? What would you do for Twickenham?
Yeah, look, if you out and out want to win this thing, you don't make too many changes now. You stick with what's winning. You find a groove. Sasha goes again. And you try and keep your back combinations on the field the whole game, So hopefully we get some stability at fullback. We finally got Sasha through 80 minutes now. So if you're out and out trying to win this game, you don't make too many changes. But I think there is a bigger plan at play here. There are some guys that are starting to get a bit frosty, I would imagine, who do need game time before you head off to the end of year tour in Europe, the November series. I'm sure there's a couple of guys who want to get some more minutes up. So I think he's going to have to try and balance that with a bigger picture view. And also, Argentina will go away and they'll analyze this game very, very closely. And a change, hypothetically, at fly half really does change completely the way the Boks will play. I mean, there's things that Handré can do that Sasha can't, but there's no chance Handré is doing any of that stuff that Sasha did on Saturday. So, there may be some merit. There may be some merit in a few tactical changes.
Look, you also look at, again, we're blessed to have Sasha, Marnie, Polly, and Damian Willemse there as well, who can play 10. I don't think any other team in the world has that quality of 10, quality of general, and the way squad depth has been built. It was nice to see Morne van den Berg get a game, and he looked like he had been playing for a while, given he'd been on the sidelines. That Grant Williams will come back into the mix. Reinach was good as well. He looks younger he gets younger every year, not older.
The better the pack plays, the younger you look.
Exactly. Jasper, I thought, was just imposing. Discipline was very good, because it's a game where he could easily have got out of hand.
Big time.
They know how to niggle Argentina. Eben, Strong, Ergier. What I like is the Jan Hendrik Wessels, the Boan Fenters, guys who have come through the mix. By next year, they'll look like they established veterans. I know Nietland Moshie has been put on standby. Wonderful option. You think a guy like that's not even in the mix, in terms of what was playing in the Rugby Championship. Frans Monhaber still injured. Hopefully he'll still come back. Gerard Steenekamp just on his way back now. Mm-hmm. We have Sachin Klabakani. We don't know what's going to happen with him. We have such amazing depth in that tight five. In our back three, 9 was the one that we said all along. Where are we going to get a bit more depth there? Unsure about where Faf is going. But the way Grant Williams has played, the way Reinach's played, and when he's come back, and he's coming back to the Stormers, it's going to be great to have him back in South Africa. Yeah, and then I think for me, the key was we saw again what Damian Williams could do at 12. And Keenan Moody has just got that confidence back again. He's on a hot streak. And whether you play him at 13, 14, he'll deliver for you. And then your guy, Ethan Hooker. I mean, he has just arrived like he's never not been there. From the moment he made that first hit against Italy, when he came on, that defensive read, he's strong, he's big, and that offload to Peter Steph du Toit, I mean, that's world-class wing play. The way he sucked in 2 defenders, in the tackle, offload, try time.
No, he's incredible.
I think I covered my bases there.
Yeah, I think you did, man. You covered every single one. Now, they all look great. Ethan Hooker is a superb talent. When you consider we're going to get Curtly Aronson back, Edwin van der Merwe still in the mix. You've got Ches and Makazole Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker, Jesse Creel, Keenan Moody. I mean, there's a bunch of guys I haven't even mentioned playing URC rugby who could step into those roles. So the depth is unprecedented.
So yeah, I mean, it's inspiring, like to be a Springbok supporter. Again, I put a thing on Insta that just privileged to write match reports about a Bok team like this, be it for SA Rugby Magazine, Sunday Times, or the blog, and just to be in a position as you are to be commentating about this generation of Springboks. We've both been at the coalface when things haven't been good. 2016, 2017, have to watch them, have to report on them, have to talk about them. So I have an incredible appreciation for when it's going well, because I know how it is to experience times that were dark. And so is Mark Alexander. I mean, that guy, president of SA Rugby, he was there in the darkest times in 2016 in Italy when we lost. 2017 when we won 4 out of 12 test matches. He went on that roadshow, got all the sponsors back. I mean, people were burning the Bok jersey. Every sponsor had walked away. And the great thing about Mark is he's always in contact. He's always in touch with the game at every kind of level, grassroots level. And he sent me this clip of this young, so Klein Blitz, 7 years old, Olotandu on Kosinkulu, and his mom's Natasha. He was, when she was pregnant, they said there was an abnormality. They recommended an abortion. She said no. He was born with one leg a lot shorter than the other. They said it had to be amputated. So off went the right leg. He is flying down the win, okay?
Wow.
The one-legged wonder. He's flying down the win.
What a champion.
Embarrassing defenses. And he wants to be the next Cheslin Colby. And I know those clips are playing in the background. It's had over 3 million views on TikTok.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's the kind of inspiration of a Cheslin Colby, a Kurtley Orense, that inspiring every generation, inspiring every kid who wants to play for the Springboks. A kid who has what everyone else would say is a disability. For him, he's got an ability. He steps off 1 foot. It's incredible. Look at this guy's just
Amazing.
incredible. I mean, and that's what Bok rugby is about. From the beginning, from 60s to 86 kind of thing. And just to see that, and Mark sent it to me just before the Boks played. It was just wonderful. And last week we were out at Arniston, and in front of the Arniston Hotel, they've got that great field area. And all the locals from Cassie's Bay, all the kids are playing there. And I saw this kid, and he had the scrum cap on, and he's on the wing, and he's flying around, 1 boot on, 1 boot off. And afterwards I went to him and I said to him, wie is jy? Cheslin of Kurtley? Nou, ek is sommer al twee. Ek speel op al 3 vleuels. Ek is 'n Cheslin and a Kurtley.
Brilliant.
So it was just incredible that the inspiration of what this generation has done, from Siya Kolisi to Peter Steph Toy to the kind of the mad hatted winners. Like, you got to have a scrum cap on now. If you play on the win, be it for the women's team, the men's team, the under 20s, the under 80s, you've got to have a scrum cap. Ethan Hook is the exception at the moment. He doesn't wear the scrum cap. But just wonderful, wonderful times to be Bok supporters. I mean, if you look at the Boks season so far, and it's quite an interesting thing, because I've also had a lot of people say not particularly good, whether they win the Rugby Championship or not. Who cares? They should have won at Eden Park. I thought that's a bit harsh if you're going to judge a performance on just 1 test match. Yes, we wanted to win Eden Park. Yes, we felt we had the team to win there. And yes, it would have been history making. But Wellington did matter. 43-10 did matter. 67-30 does matter. Winning the Rugby Championship and backing it up does matter. Where would you rate them now? They win next Saturday. They defend the Rugby Championship. They've had some of these record-breaking scores, and they've integrated 30% new blood as consistent players in their match 23.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're number 1 in the world, and they will be defending champions if they beat Argentina. I mean, that's back-to-back Rugby Championship winners. I mean, that's insane. You can't ask for more. As much as it was disappointing about what happened at Eden Park, that's behind us, and we're now in the Rugby Championship running and potentially, obviously title contenders. So you can only judge the guys on who they play, the performances that they put out. There have been ups and downs in terms of what the output has been, how they've played, some of the decision-making, some of the selections. But at the end of the day, you can only judge them on the results. And so if you win the Rugby Championship, that has to be a success. And to do it and come out of it with increased depth and probably tighter contests in the position battles is a roaring success. And then we'll kind of switch over. We'll transition to looking forward to the November series and say you've got some big tests against Ireland and France, and those, hopefully they lay down a marker in those ones. But again, it'll be a bit like the Eden Park thing. You won't know until they've played it what the objective was that they try to get out of it, you know. So the Boks are in a funny state. It's not like the old days of rugby. 10, 15 years ago, a team tried to get cohesion. They try to build cohesion, find a winning team, stick with the winning team, and then win consistently week to week to week. It's a new era of rugby, the way that Rassie sort of deploys his campaign. He achieves secondary and tertiary objectives, not always winning and not always playing his strongest team, for the long-term gain of having more depth, which creates more competition for places, and also experimenting with tactics to get more answers around what is the way that they're going to play and what are the pitfalls and the opportunities of that. So, I mean, South African rugby is in a great, you couldn't ask to be in a better, who's in a better place than South African rugby at the moment? And I think the gap is bigger than it's ever been.
And I think also on that, Zels, people say, oh, we're not getting arrogant. We're just joyously celebrating and speaking with great confidence and just acknowledging the qualities of every South African team that has gone into big competitions, be it from our sevens, our under 18s, our under 20s, our women, into the seniors, into our URC top teams, and saying, wow, this is a great time for South African rugby. Off the field, Mark Alexander is leading, probably the most balanced, settled executive.
Yeah.
And down to his presidency. Rian Oberholzer is in it, CEO. Commercially, it's very strong, the program. It's just a good time for South African rugby, and it would be a miss not to just acknowledge that.
Totally.
And there's no arrogance in that. I mean, when you get ardent New Zealand supporters and ardent New Zealand players and guys have been fairly critical of South Africa in the past, just lapping it up and saying, this is just incredible to see what they're doing. And it's what the world feared many years ago. A unified South Africa, picking every player available, whether he's in South Africa or based abroad, regardless of culture, religion, color. How good would these guys be? Well, we find in 2025, we're starting to find out about it.
And I think we're going to get more of that kind of answer this week from Australia, with Will Skelton back in the mix, Rob Valentini back in the mix. The Wallabies will put up more of a fight. You've seen the difference that Cam Roygaard made when added to that All Blacks squad. Certainly, these nations, as much as I know they're geographically challenged, they've got to find a way to get their best players in the field, because they are lagging and they are losing ground on South Africa every single week.
No, completely. And if you add 3 or 4 players to the Wallaby mix, you added just 4 more to the All Black mix. I'm not saying go and pick 20, but if you added a Shannon Frizzell and a Richie Mohanga and Aaron Smith, maybe, in terms of that experience, that already changes the complexion of that 23.
Big time.
We've seen what Will Skelton has done for the Wallabies, what a guy like Rob Valentini coming back, just Sohaili coming up from league to union, Max Jorgensen staying, that other guy, I can't even pronounce his surname, who went to the Roosters, Mark.
Oh,
he's coming back as well, they say. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know if he's Italian, if he's Spanish, but he's Australian. And he's been brilliant for the Roosters. They want him back. They want him back. They want the 10 back, Gordon, as well. So, you know, I saw a thing that my bud sent me. There's a survey done, where does rugby union rank in Australian sporting psyche with their supporters? It got 2% of the vote. AFL got 45% and cricket was next. But it got 2%. Insular bastards.
It just doesn't make sense to me, mate. How if I'm South African, I can go live in a country for 3 years and play for them and they'll pick me. But if I go play my club rugby in another country, I'm in exile. It doesn't make sense.
Well, what's mad is like the England system. If you play for Toulouse, you're not eligible to play for England, even though you're playing Northampton and smashing them in a final.
Over the stream in France. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so it's just,
come on.
You want to see best against best. I want to see the best Wallabies available. I want to see the best All Black squad out there. Not saying if we had Richie here, if Shannon Frizzell was. I want to see them play. And we saw the curse of that when we didn't pick our players. When we had that system in place, no foreign-based players eligible. Then we went with that. You've got to play 60 or 70 tests. And who wants to pick a guy who's played 70 tests? Maybe he's past it.
Yeah.
And all you do then is giving the likes of Ireland, France, England, Wales an opportunity to pick your player, because he goes over there 3-5 years into playing, and then we don't pick him.
That was the point that Jake made often. He said, you've got to pick these guys when they're overseas, because that becomes a huge problem for the club. He said if he became Bok coach again, he'd pick all the overseas-based players randomly throughout the season, because that's the last thing that club wants. They signed that guy thinking that he would never get picked again for the Springboks. So huge deterrent.
Yeah, so we're in a great space. I really enjoy the Bledisloe Cup. One, New Zealand retains it now 23 years in succession. There's about 7 of those Wallaby players who weren't born when the last time the Wallabies won that Bledisloe Cup.
Well, mate, you look at Jimmy Slipper. I mean, the guy is joined the 150 club. You gave me the numbers. I mean, how many times has he beaten
I think he's played 40 tests against All Blacks and won 4. And that's 4 more than most.
It's like a punishment.
That's 4 more than most most Wallabies.
Yeah.
But talking about that, I mean, Sergio Parisi, one of the great number 8s in world rugby, played for Stade Francais, could have played for Argentina, decided to play for Italy. Charismatic bloke. If he played for the All Blacks or the Springboks, played 100 tests. But he captained Italy. I think he played 148 tests. 142, and he lost over 100 of them. Now, how do you motivate yourself every week to go up there to know at that era that he played he's going to take a beating? I mean, that takes a special player.
But you have absolutely got to just have a very short memory to keep coming back from that. I think if Sergio Parisse gives a pre-game sort of motivation, you just got to do the opposite of it, because it's clearly not going to work, mate. You've got a 67% chance of not winning that game. Shame.
All right, Zelzy. I know that you are kind of like sitting on the fence. You're a rugby commentator. You're with the Stormers, so you will bring us great insights in terms of the URC, in terms of the box. But we've become quite popular, I think.
South Africa.
No, our show has become quite popular, okay? And I think it's down to your insight, down to your intelligence, and apparently it's down to the way I laugh and how many times I say and ah. But there's some guys actually out there counting them.
Wow, mate.
Yeah.
Sure.
I asked for
What was that?
But we've been wonderfully embraced with like some of the biggest sponsor alignments in South Africa as well. And we're so grateful to them, because it means we can afford to keep you. We can afford to keep Imad. We can afford to pay people for the luxury of having a microphone,
Wow,
etc. And one of the big rugby brands together in South Africa have also come on board just for this month and celebrate the launch of one of their new models. And they feel it ties in with rugby, obviously, and it ties in with our show. And we went past 66 million page views on all platforms. And that's in 2 years, spell 126 episodes. And that's. I just wanted to shout out to my man in the Stormers there, Zel. It's a shout out to you, brother.
right, that's all.
Thanks, man. I just want to
Amazing.
beautiful,
Mate, you
beautiful.
paid for this.
I paid for this. URC, brother. URC. You were there at the stoking the fires, 35-0. You don't have to give away state secrets. Just an incredible start to the season, and nice to see Leinster on the road to start a campaign and not safely tucked away in Dublin. They've got the Bulls next week, or this weekend. It will be a tough one as well. But you look all round at that opening round. You look at some of the results. We watched a bit of the Sharks game up in the Stormers Lounge, 14-12 at halftime. We thought good comeback, and they kind of drifted away, but in the second half, it was always going to be a tough ask in Glasgow. The Bulls, Shawcross phoned me. The URC CIO said, "What's going on? It's 12-0 to the Ospreys after 6 minutes." I said, "Relax, the Bulls will win 60-40. They won 53-40. I said, "I got it wrong. Sorry, mate." I was out by 7 points. But that start for Uckers, and then obviously the Lions. It's always just a sad state of affairs when I just keep on reading the same things from Cash that I've been reading for 5 years. Discipline cost us. It's 1 or 2 errors. When does it change?
Yeah, look, at Lions is a young side, and quite a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of turnover, but some changes there. I thought they responded well in the first half. They went behind, came back, they stayed in the fights, and I thought they had a chance to win it. So it was a solid effort from the Lions, but it's a game they could have won. I mean, Cardiff were pretty good, but you just hope the Lions find that continuity. They just need something to click there. They also just need to unearth some superstar. You know, some guy who's slipped through the net with their other unions and they've snagged him, and an overachiever. A guy comes through, and in a way, Ntlabakanye is and was that guy. Just a scrum juggernaut. But they just need a few more pieces to go forward, I think. The Lions it's a tough campaign for them, right? Because they are relative underdogs in the South African landscape. And to start on the road, you know, after that Currie Cup defeat, I think was probably quite difficult.
Yeah, and then the Bulls, in terms of Uckers getting his first start, 53-40. says he can fix the defensive things. There seems to be an enjoyment about the teams. I know Jake would say, well, my team's won by 60 points as well, and I just got condemned. It does help when a new coach comes in. Everyone is willing him to succeed, not willing him to fail.
Sure.
Akkers has got a lot of goodwill there. He's got a lot of faith, but they need to do something about that defense.
Yeah, it's ironic that Akkers comes through, right? So he's a guy who played for Jake, and Jake's career started with junior box that he took to the next level, turned into world champions, and they were the heartbeats and mainstays of South African rugby for, 20 years. So Akkers comes in, and the guys that he worked with at the junior box are some of the brave selections he makes. Cheswell Jooste on the one wing there is absolutely electric. He's going to be a problem for teams. He's a nano back that absolutely explodes. Scored a great try. And then he had the guts to pick JJ Tehran, who played lock for the junior box. He played him at number 8. And Pilo Gumedi, great to see him on the field. So Akkers started by making some brave calls, some of them enforced by the fact that box are not available and there are some injuries. But the standout performers were the young guys who kind of played for Akkers at the junior box, and I think he's onto something there. I think the Bulls have got this new generation feel to them, and they are bookended by the experience of guys like Safi's coming back to play centre. I think he'll eventually get his legs on the high fault and fit in there very well. And obviously, a guy like Andre Pollard's not gonna hurt that team when he eventually gets back. So the Bulls, I think, are in a good space, a bit of a rebuild under Akkers, but a lot of enthusiasm and optimism there. And I think, the way that they recovered from that start, where basically they were caught napping a couple of times, they pulled it together and they won. So kudos to them.
Yeah, and then URC, always a tough start for the URC when there's still Test match rugby going on. Yeah. In the UK, there was obviously the Women's World Cup final against Canada and host England, who won it, 33rd match in a row, 81,000 people at Twickenham. Incredible result that New Zealand won the playoff for 3rd and 4th against France. Well, you got the Premiership going at the moment. You've got top 14 already into its 5th round. I mean, that's a long competition, 26 rounds that they play. URC is 18 rounds, and obviously there's the EPCR Challenge Cup, Investec Champions Cup that comes in December. Crowds will get bigger. There was still a decent 14,000 at the Stormers on Friday night. Yeah. 7 o'clock kickoff in Cape Town. I mean, I stay basically 15 minutes from the stadium. It took me 55 minutes to get there in traffic in an Uber. And you think of people who are going home and have to come back from either the southern or northern suburbs. So Friday night footy, Friday night rugby, whatever you want to call it, it's touch and go in South Africa, especially in Cape Town. Yeah. But once the Boks hopefully settle the Rugby Championship, kind of get through the Pumas at Twickenham on Saturday. And for those who want to know why Twickenham, Argentina, it's their home game. They've moved it to Twickenham for commercial reasons. They feel there's more value in charging pounds than pesos. I laugh at my own joke there. It's US dollar, man. Yeah. Charging that for a home game. So we're happy we're going to be going to Twickenham and not going into Buenos Aires or somewhere at altitude in Argentina. But yeah, great stuff to look forward to in the URC. Great test match rugby to look forward to. It's going to be Perth. Wallabies against those guys from New Zealand called the All Blacks, and obviously us playing for the Rugby Championship. You can follow all the news on SA Rugby Magazine's website. Follow us on socials, our WhatsApp groups. And there's a great competition with one of our show sponsor, Castle Lager. And their competition isn't that I've got to drink 12 every night when the Stormers play or the Boks play, although I tried my best to do it, is you can win a breweries tour. So you just have to click on the links that you see on our socials everywhere. You go to X, you sign up, and you can take a mate. It's part of their whole friendship campaign. You can take a mate on a breweries tour, and you may even see me there, me there with one of the Boks jugging it away.
There we go.
We thank Castle for everything they've done for us. We thank everyone for everything they've done for us, but mainly we thank the people who watch us for just their love of the Springboks and their love of everything Springboks.